One. Hey everybody, it is Jeff Romo here with InnRoads Ministries, and it has been way too long since we've had an InnRoads Plays episode, and I am hugely thankful for the people that are around me right now to get involved with one of my crazier ideas, and that is to have a Dungeons & Dragons game where there's no variety, at least in the character classes, but there's going to be variety in the players, I guarantee it. Well, except for the fact they're mostly reptiles. But anyway, we'll get past that. But welcome to InnRoads Plays All-Bards. So we have sat down with a little experiment of playing a game, a mystery, a crazy little romp through a city called Sapphire Harbor, a canal city, where our erstwhile investigators, and more importantly, our fantabulous, hard-rocking band is going to find out what's going on in this city and get behind the mystery. So we'll get into the story a little bit later, but this little intro episode is just to kind of get to know the characters around here, get to know the people a little bit behind the character, and then just make sure all our sheets are in order. So let's transition everybody over to the game board here real quick. Actually, no, screw it. Forget it. I'm not going to do that. First, I'm going to intro people. So I will go over to my top right. I guess it'd be top left on the computer screen. I'll go with Jason there. Jason, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man.
Good. So what's your claim to fame, man? What draws you into this realm?
Into this room or into gaming in general?
Gaming in general, I guess, is a good one.
I love storytelling. I played a lot of board games and stuff before I came to role playing, but I found a really great community here outside of New Orleans that played a lot of role playing games, and I was invited into that, and I just got sucked into it. And so we've got a great community here, and I've been, I guess, gaming for about 7 years now. So
nice.
Start with D&D 4th edition though, so this is kind of a fun little throwback.
Well, then your other claim to fame is the Chasing the Dragon series, where you went all the way back to where it began.
Yes, so, yeah, I've been playing AD&D First Edition lately. You can follow that on madcleric.com, and I'm actually transitioning over to timetoquest.com, but they're both kind of live right now.
I don't like change.
Yeah, nobody does. That's why I'm playing First Edition. So
that's good. Yeah. That's good. That's a perfect excuse for me. So if and I'll ask this question of everybody, so be prepared. But Jason, I'll put you on the spot. So any hesitations or doubts in jumping into this, where you're playing all the same character class?
Not at all. Not a bit. No, I mean, each class, as I've read the 5th edition stuff, each class has enough variety within it that you really could have a balanced party, I think. Right. Of course, my guy's kind of the tank, so if I die in the first session, I'll be corrected. But no, I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I think it'll lend to a pretty cool role-playing scenario, again, which is what I really enjoy. Yeah. Patrick, who we'll hear from in a second, is a local gamer that I play with often, and we've had sessions before where you get an hour deep. It's like, wait, we haven't even rolled any dice. So I'm not afraid to get in there and try something crazy. So,
Those are fun nights. Those are fun nights for sure. Well, cool. Well, Patrick, you got called out, man. So I'm gonna go counterclockwise, and I'll go with you first. So give me a claim to fame on getting into this gaming hobby, and then I'll ask you that question too.
Okay. Let's see. So I'm Patrick, as it presumably says at the bottom of my screen to everybody.
No names.
So I've been gaming for I want to say just under 20 years in terms of actual RPGing. Started, weirdly enough, with Big Eyes, Small Mouth, the anime RPG, nice. And have played way too many other games to go through, but I've played online, played via chats, did game mastering on the World of Darkness chats, which was interesting, and kind of excited about this. One of my favorite characters I ever played was a bard that one of his best participations in a fight was simply throwing chairs and then realizing he had enough tumble to ride a chair down onto an enemy from a balcony above, which is about the most bardic thing I could imagine.
It's about as awesome as it gets. That's pretty good, actually. So
improvised weapons.
Yeah. It could be other characters. So any hesitations about jumping into a game like this? Any obstacles that you can think of?
Not really that I can think of. I think, it helps that the bard is kind of the sort of jack of all trades of D&D. I mean, doesn't excel at anything, but I think with 5 of them or 4 of them, we'll have a good good combination of things. And like Jason said, there's a good bit of variety. I feel like I'm more of a kind of healer cleric type.
Gotcha. Well, you know what? It's gonna make it interesting. That's for sure.
That is for sure.
Awesome. All right, so I'm putting in names now. How about that? Blammo, Patrick, and then Jason's up next. All right, so we're gonna go with Leslie. Now, she doesn't have a webcam, but that's cool because I went ahead and I put her character in here so that you guys know what she might be playing. But Leslie, let's go with your claim to fame. You have an interesting one, which I want to make sure gets shared. Namely,
I have an interesting one.
Well, namely of the Star Wars variety. I want to make sure we get that out there.
Well, but, actually, since everybody else started with their beginnings in the gaming, I started about I want to say about a little over a decade ago. Actually, it's probably about 12 years ago now, which is a little bit over a decade. A friend brought me in with 2nd edition, and my first character was a bard. And she was utterly useless. She literally got whisked away. She was rolled up incorrectly because 2 people were teaching me. And so she had godlike stats. She couldn't hit the side of a barn with a frying pan, which was one of her weapons. She was literally whisked away by her godfather, had her train for a year and sent her back, and literally she was enchanted so she would always hit. If it was still a critical fumble or something, she'd hit herself or a tree and break something, but she would always connect. That is how bad she was. She had a collection of weapons to try and learn which one would work. The best she ever did was with a frying pan. But I am currently on a podcast called the Heroes of the Hydian Way.
There you go.
Which is an actual play podcast doing the FFG Star Wars modules. We're actually doing Dead in the Water right now. I play Kith, the Bothan mechanic, engineer, saboteur thing.
Gotcha.
I actually got my start in podcasting helping out the guys on Stories of the Fifth Age over at Mad Adventurers, which is how I came to know Mr. Jason.
That's right. The madness continues. So, any hesitations on this type of game setup?
On the homogenous party, no. It's actually something we've joked about doing in our home group a couple of times, but nobody was really committed to the idea but me because I'm used to sucking at everything. So I'm like, it'll be hilarious. It'd just be a comedy of errors if we're all terrible druids or rangers or whatever. And so that wasn't my hesitation. My hesitation was because it was bards, and my last bard was so bad at everything that had to do with barding. Literally, she had just boons and magic instruments, and she got beat hands down by this putz who became her barding nemesis and then proposed to her at the end of the campaign. And I could have punched my teammates in the face because they thought it was the best thing ever, and I was like, this is the most humiliating thing. And I was like, I'm never playing a bard again. And
here you are.
Here I am.
There you are. Well,
Same old bard again.
It's okay though. You got an interesting one, which we'll get into like our characters here in just a moment.
Yes.
But,
good.
Yeah, I want to talk with Alistair. So, Alistair, talk to me. What's your claim to fame, man? You're a recent convert to the hobby.
My claim to fame is that Jeff suckered me into this game without me volunteering. So my introduction to the hobby of role-playing games was by listening to RPG podcasts that talked about like, how do you make RPGs better? And I was like, well, these sound like a lot of fun. And so over my course of listening to Game Store Profits, I decided to hop in with the Summer of One-Shots last year, and Jeff taught me how to RPG in Dungeon World. So after doing that, and then finding out that I also really, really, really liked the sound of 5th edition, I bought all the books I could find, and then I began to build characters for fun, because I find taking apart the character stats to be the most fun part. But the only character class I never read up on was bards. And so when Jeff said, "Oh, let's do a party of all bards," I was like, I'll pass. That sounds like heavy on role playing, and I'm not great at role playing, or so I think. And but then I actually started looking in the bard class, and it's like, oh, these guys are good at everything. This will be great. We can all do different things, and it'll be great. So
that'd be a lot of fun. That'd be a lot of fun. So any hesitations, or you...
Not after actually reading through the class. I get a lot of spells. This is my first time playing a spellcaster, so.
It's not a bad way to jump in because you're not having to worry about the, learning the new stuff. Yeah, you get to learn new spells and everything. But I mean, it's kind of nice when you have like you got a book of spells that you're going to work with, or a brain of spells, or a song book of spells. I don't know however you want to keep it, but
Soul of Spells.
Soul of Spells. Oh,
yeah, that sounds
beautiful, nice. Poetic, bardic, even. Very
and
cool.
You're in character riding on a horse.
That's right.
I may end up bouncing my 7-week-old from time to time, so the ball is necessary for that.
There you go. All right, well let's shift over to the game board here, and we have Roll20 kind of set up in here, and I'm gonna, as we start talking a little bit about characters, I'll start adding in names like I should have done before. So this is a little live trickery for the recording audience. We'll have fun with it. But so let's who wants to go first as far as just kind of reviewing their characters? We'll do a little intro of like who we are and what kind of character you're going to be playing. We went with a unique grouping of races, which I thought was like, this was really, really cool. I was really happy with what you guys decided, and you ran with it. Lord help me, you ran with it. So So let's jump in. Who wants a show of hand? Or speak of voice. Who wants to go first to talk about their character?
Sure, since I don't have hands.
Leslie is up. All right, so let's.
I'll jump in there.
Let's jump in here then.
Hands or feet, she will jump in.
Yeah, literally jump right in. So it kind of showing off in Roll20 a little bit of what we have. You can tell that Leslie has spent a good deal of time writing a bit of a background. And don't get scared off, folks who are listening in the audience. It's only a trilogy, but this is what you do when you want to have some depth to your character. Sometimes it takes a little bit of writing. It's not everybody does it, but I know I am really susceptible to writing stuff. Jason has submitted some interesting things as well. And we'll get around to that as we rotate through the characters. But I'll flip over to the character sheet so that we can kind of work through what we've set up. So tell us a little bit about your character, Miss Leslie.
Well, Grimond the Glorious is a dragonborn who was enslaved very, very young and sold to a wealthy home and given as a birthday present. And so he's literally, the first line is, Grimond is beautiful. He's just this perfect image of shapeliness. And he was kept literally as a living piece of art. Like, he'd do stuff with the girl who effectively owned him, and he learned things from living with them, but he had no personhood. One of the things he learned was how to play the maiden harp, which you might guess from the name was for girls, but she had to learn, so she made him learn. And that's how he learned about music and learned that he loved music. And then eventually he was discovered by the traveling entertainer Linka.
That's right.
And Linka bought him and freed him.
And we'll get a little more into that character, I guess, once we actually jump into the game.
I literally cannot hear you at all, dude.
Oh, is my voice too faint?
Yeah, I'm having trouble understanding most of you. Jason's coming in the clearest, and followed by Alistair. You and Patrick, every once in a while, I don't know if you don't open your mouth enough or something.
That might be part of it. Well, hopefully the recording's not too faint as well.
Okay, I literally cannot turn my computer volume up any higher, which means if I don't remember to turn it down, I'm going to lose my eardrums next time.
Oh man, Got to make sure you remember that. All right. So as far as character setup, kind of walking through a little bit of what we have set up here for Roll20 and how it patterns after the basic setup for characters. You've got yourself set up with your personality traits, your ideals, your bonds and flaws, and up to you what you want to share of that information. But it looks like. Do you have any questions about anything you have to fill out? Anything that you think might be missing?
No, I mean, I've rolled up a gajillion bards at this point. That's what I've played the most often. I've never played a Dragonborn, so the breath weapon and the automatic resistance will be something to deal with.
Right.
I'm somewhat more talkative than Grimond is supposed to be, so we're going to see how that goes.
Gotcha.
Also, I'm really bad at remembering to use spells, but, we'll see how that goes.
And it's interesting, like you can get caught up with the RP and you're kind of forgetting. It's almost like in my case, whenever I've played a wizard, I always forget my familiar, so I always go with like a staff or something instead, just because I kept forgetting my familiar. But yeah, it's interesting. We'll see how it plays out. Oh, cool. All right. Well, let's. Who wants to go next, or do you guys want me to just pick?
I'll go.
All right, let's hear it.
So Tambor the Unrelenting is a half-orc tambourine player. He's fairly well known in Sapphire Harbor because he's been there for, I guess, 5 or 6 years now. He came in with a minstrel group, and the minstrel group passed on, but he stayed. And so Tambor is known for being willing to gig with anybody at the drop of a hat because he plays at the service of a dragon named Draenor. So he is... he's played with just about everybody in Sapphire Harbor. Everybody knows Tambor, and he's known as just a gregarious half-orc with he's built, but he's got a big toothy grin and just gets along with everybody. So he's a fun guy to hang around with.
Nice, very cool. And I like the choice of instrument.
Yes,
pretty cool. So anything that you had questions on when it comes to setup with Roll20? You've had some experience, but what do you got?
Yeah, but I've never done my character sheet on Roll20 before. I play like 200 hours on Roll20, but never had a character sheet on it. Right. And some of it goes to my lack of familiarity with 5th edition as well. Mm-hmm. And so like on my spell or on my if you look at my front page on my attacks, so I do the gear on the Warhammer there. So when you roll a crit, so you roll like a D20 or you roll a natural 20, you get to double down on damage in this game, right? So you roll another one of your dice. So I guess I've done that correctly in there.
Yeah, and actually what ends up happening is your Roll20 will actually roll it for you. So if it knows that you rolled a 20, it will actually kick out critical damage for you automatically.
But you have to...
I mean, you're hitting your damage button. So, like for instance, let's do a quick test. I've got us over on the chat area. Why don't you hit the Warhammer?
Okay.
And it's going to roll dice for you. All right, and you'll see the result. You got a 21, which is probably going to hit just about anything. Now, over in the results side where it has 2111, click the word Warhammer again, and that's going to kick out your damage.
Oh, okay.
All right.
So what's the 21 and 11? So it rolls double for me, and I go with the left one. So that way, if I have advantage or disadvantage, it automatically rolls 2 for you.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. Okay. Couldn't have explained it better myself. So you have that set up. The damage that you have displayed there, the 4 on the left-hand side, is a roll. Yeah. If you hover your mouse over that, it shows that it rolled a D8. But if you went in with it two-handed, you'd get the right-handed damage there, which was rolling a D10. So it'll automatically kick that out for you.
Okay.
And if you had rolled critical, can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. And if y'all had rolled critical, then if you go into the attack and you put in, it has a critical and then it has a little spot box next to it. It rolls that, whatever you put in that box, additional die. So
it does it automatically for you.
As long as you put it in the attack. So, yeah.
All right.
So like on my short sword, I have it does damage 1d6 plus dex, and then type piercing, and then under crit I have 1d6, so it adds 1d6 to it.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactamundo. And Patrick, I see you're playing around with it there too. So whatever the result is there, you just click on the word in the result column within the chat window on your right hand side. Just click, like if you clicked rapier, it would kick out damage for you. If you clicked scimitar, Leslie, you could do that. So that way you guys can actually see the damage that's being rolled.
I'm likely to get confused on spells and stuff, but I've got my player's handbook here just in
perfect.
And
you should be able to also, you can use the the SRD information that's in Roll20 if it's available. You can always click in there. There are some choices that we've made as groups, as a group that's outside of the SRD. It's in the player's handbook or maybe in the Sword Coast Adventures guide, that sort of thing. So not a problem. We'll kind of play with that as we go and see what happens. So cool. Good testing there. Any other questions that you have on your character sheet, like as far as anything you think you might be missing?
I don't think so. I will draw attention to the fact that as a performer, I'm a specialist in dancing and tumbling, in addition to my skills as an instrumentalist. So if there's ever like a bridge where the tamborine's not appropriate, Tambor will continue to be unrelenting with his entertainment.
That's right. That's right. Well, and the cool thing too is that when you're doing your performance, you can always use the same the tool on the bottom left hand side. You can use that as your your musical instrument. That's going to work all around. So it's narrative for us. It's narrative, which I love. So cool. All right. And then if you want to put, I noticed here that it says in the flaws section, kept private for DM. If you want to put that into your character sheet, you can, because only you and I can see it. And of course,
I'll
the 30 or so people who watch the video, they'll see it too.
Yeah.
So whenever you want. Cool. All right. Let's see here. Alistair or Patrick, who wants to go next?
I'll go next.
All right, Patrick, let's have it.
Okay, so I am playing Regina Septim Vitata. Septim Vitata, as you know, means no worries for the rest of your days because we will kill you. And she is a Yonti pureblood, the latest in a long line of House Septim Vitata that works within Sapphire Harbor, arranging marriages and less reputable things as well. For the people you go to when you want things to happen that you may not want other people to know you want happening. But Regina found that she wasn't satisfied just being the next in line to be a backroom manipulator, and actually found her calling as a glamour bard, taking the stage name of Lady Sibilant. She works as the glamorous bard and the vocalist for our rowdy band of adventurers.
I love it. It's so good. Lady Sibilant. And a Yuan-Ti too, which is, or how do you guys pronounce it? Yuan-Ti?
I've always called it Yuan-Ti, but I don't know if there's what the official one is there.
I always kind of almost made it the two syllables for Yuan. Like yawn, but with a bad accent.
Gotcha.
I only ever read it, so I just thought it was Yuan-Ti.
Hey, see, just go with the yawn, man.
Yawn, man.
Just add more sibilants.
It's all good.
Sibilance.
Sibilant. Perfect. All right, cool. So any questions on your character sheet? Anything that you think you might need help with, or are you feeling solid?
No, I think I'm feeling pretty solid. I went through my spells, mostly went with everything that looked either fabulous or snaky.
Nice.
Mostly snaky, but I think it's pretty solid. Nice mix of healing and mind control.
Very cool. I like it. I like it a lot. All right. So let's see here. I think that gets us set up for Mr. Alistair. So bring it home.
So I am rounding out our ensemble with Deacon Scale Singer, sorry. I've riffed the basic concept for this character from one of the Neverwinter Nights games. There is a lovely little kobold bard in there who had a thing for playing a mandolin or something other like a guitar sheet or like a guitar. So yeah, I'm playing a kobold. He is a All-Bard. He is from the north and serves our great and terrible Lord Skarnax. So we have multiple dragon thralls here.
Nice.
And he's basically, he just wants to travel around and ask people if they've heard of our Lord Skarnax the Terrible. So, and play a mandolin. But
and play a mandolin.
yeah, that's the basics of him. I'm still coming up with. I've been busy with dad stuff, so I haven't come up with ideals and bonds and flaws yet. But personality traits, when he gets excited, he either talks quietly or quickly. So that'll be fun for all of you watching this video later.
I like it. That's gonna be fun. And the thing is that this is gonna be fast-paced action. Well, no, we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see how you guys do the investigation.
Also, he's really good at talking people into things and dodging out of the way when they finally get fed up with him. So,
oh, my favorite racial ability of all. What is it called? Cowering and
grovel,
fear.
Cower, and beg.
There it is.
As an action, I can distract people by begging and whining, and all of my buddies get advantage on kicking their butts while they're watching me grovel. So I adore
it. I adore it.
How big is a kobold?
Kobolds are small, so I think about 3 foot is what I'm reading right here.
Yeah, about 3 feet.
They're between 2 and 3 foot high and weigh 25 to 35 pounds. So yes. A small toddler.
Yeah.
About 2-year-old. 2-year-old.
So you're actually smaller than my friend's 3-year-old then.
About the size of my 2-year-old. So.
Okay.
So you can fit in most of your backpacks. That's all I'm saying. Somebody carry you, Ikea, and then you carry me.
You're the mandolin player. Lady Sibyllin is the singer. Leslie, what's your character play?
He specializes. He still knows how to play the maiden harp, and he does have a banjo, but that's more for personal use. So he's percussion, but because of the way his head is shaped with those cool like horn-like things, he can create a resonance and do like a background kind of harmony sound.
So he's the beatboxer.
I cannot be John DiMaggio. If I could, I would.
No, we won't make you do that. But...
Okay, if I don't actually have to
I'm the dungeon
beatbox.
master here. I might make... No, I'm just kidding.
So are you playing drums or like tribal percussion? Or tambourine?
He has a drum kit for when we do... Like, the thing was, it is a drum kit. If we're going to be mobile, it'd probably be like a basic tom. Maybe one of the double-ended ones.
Cool. All right.
Also,
what's his name again?
Grimond the Glorious.
Also, I'm just gonna put it out there. While a mandolin is great for just kind of casually setting an ambiance, it's not a way to introduce a dragon. So I also have a war horn.
Okay, cool.
Nice.
A war horn or a wall horn?
A war horn.
Oh, if it's a crybaby wah horn, then that's friggin' epic.
That sounds hilarious, but I don't know the reference.
Well, it's like whenever you hear like the opening of Voodoo Child with Jimi Hendrix, the way his guitar sounds, that waka 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 waka, that's a crybaby wah pedal.
The 70s cop background music, apparently.
Pretty close.
I'm going to assume that Lady Sibyllin probably also knows how to play the snake flute. The ones they use to charm snakes, but that's for private use.
I like how we all have a public instrument, and no, this is my instrument.
Look, because sometimes I charm myself. I don't know. I'm that good. So, yeah.
Little known fact, flutes are basically like a drug for Yonti.
Oh, dear.
They just sit there and they play the flute and they rock back and forth.
That's so cool.
Okay. Do we need to have an intervention? A flute intervention?
We might need to.
I can quit anytime I want.
Quit the fluting time I want. All right.
Also, I'm going to point out, for the fun of it, as a kobold, I have sunlight sensitivity, so I have disadvantage on like looking at things in bright sunlight.
Wonderful.
So, you can sleep in the drum as I carry it. Then
that'll be great.
Well, that's okay. All of this stuff's taking place overnight, so we'll be fine.
We're a band.
Also, I have no healing spells. Mine are all about inspiring awe and terror and hot thing and heating things up. So
hot things.
I had heat metal. So,
Well,
because
you
I'm a
gotta
kobold,
have
I'm used to working around a dragon and in mines. So, I mean, gotta be able to melt things.
I want to go with the things that make sense, right? And that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Totally does.
So, and who cares if a kobold gets hurt? I mean, there's lots
Forget
of
it.
us.
I don't care. Well, there's 1,000 more of them.
No healing.
no self-preservation.
We
just
lose one
traveling.
kobold, we go down into the tunnels, and we'll just get another one. It's going to be fine. Don't worry.
Who cares if one survives? Well, we need the tribe.
That's right. That's right. All right. Well, cool. So let's do this. We're gonna go ahead and we'll shut down this particular episode right here, just as we've kind of gotten introduced to our new characters. But I will leave it with this: that the recordings, thus ongoing, the ones that will be ongoing here, are going to be fun. They're going to be a little silly. There is an investigation that needs to take place, but always bear in mind that these wonderful entertainers have to put on a show.
Sorry, excuse me for 1 second, Jeff. I'll be right back.
Yeah, no worries. But these people have to put on a show, so that's exactly what's going to happen. But yeah, we'll be back with our first episode here, and probably within a day, I would say we'll go ahead and put the episode out for you guys. So thanks a lot for taking some time to be with us, get to know our band, and we'll put this experiment into full gear and turn it all the way up to 11 in just a few short moments. So thanks a lot for stopping by. Get a table of your own, gather some friends, gather some strangers for that matter, and make some friends. But get out there and game. We'll talk to you all very, very soon.